come see. We're on. Good evening. This is Tom. My name's Tom Carey, and welcome to Public Access Poetry. Our readers tonight are Vincent Katz and Paul Schneeman. Mr. Katz and Mr. Schneeman have both been editors of Open Window, Hit Singles, and Hot Fudge. Vincent Katz's latest book is entitled Rooms, and it's available at 8th Street Bookstore or St. Mark's Bookstore. And Paul Schneeman's most recent book, which was published this summer, is called Out Will Return. Our first reader tonight is Paul Schneeman, and without further ado, we'll turn you to Paul.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. First thing I'm going to read is a poem by Guillaume Apollinaire. This poem is called Ocean of Earth, dedicated to Giorgio de Chirico. We all know him. I built a house in the middle of the ocean. Its windows are rivers which flow out of my eyes. Octopus stir all around its walls. Listen to the triple beat of their hearts and their beaks which tap on the window panes. Humid house, burning house, rapid season, season which sings. Airplanes drop eggs. Watch out for the anchor. Watch out for the ink which they squirt. It's a good thing you came from the sky. The honeysuckle of the sky climbs up, the earthly octopus throb, and then we are closer and closer to being our own grave diggers. Pale octopus of chalky waves, oh octopus with pale beaks, around the house there is this ocean which you know and which is never still. Now I'm going to read my short book in its entirety. Out Will Return is called. This is published by Open Window Books. Okay, the first poem is called Epigram. Epigram. I learned these terms of endearment in honor of you, a matchbook pointing to itself calmly. The smokestack's message is stitched. Could be clouds, and in the front yard, the umbrella's read, what sky? It is possible as often as it is not. No need for alarm. In another country far away, we are lettered, tempted back home. Out of the blue, traffic predicts this. Still, the courtroom adjourns. On the other end of the telephone, a postage stamp. The airy landscape includes us, dumbfounded at the prospects of the Atlantic. Late opening. There shall be an end to these recent incursions. The light retreating down avenues in repair. Invitations were sent out, the laundry pressed on the runway. It was misleading, your picture of this. On the wall over there, particles of blue appear, where the treetops recede at our convenience. This is simply called poem. Poem. So what? We move like wet patches on a black field, not really believing this shower, what it means, other than it will stop, edging precariously towards some future date as the moment stops and reinvents itself endlessly. It's called Evening Falls. It's after Magritte. I wrote it looking at a couple paintings of Magritte's. Paint gathers mountains, not to forget the colors of the picture. an orange sun in pieces on the floor, light blue sky and jagged glass, wholly obdurate as evening falls, countryside at my feet convincing as eagles, formed of still lines we see. Labor Day. Rain date idea of a paper country mansion litters the yard, whitewash climbing over the edge of it. A strange paradise guides these objects. The clothespins, not enough on the line, but dinner counts a lot. The picture dog aloft the transparent silk and glass. On the wing. Cold winds advance in mind of some arrangement producing a rubber stamp effect on a nearby town. Blue ink along the countryside. A momentary pause for air at the flutter of wings into an evening forest, from which the past emerges and trees push skyward. This is called Monolith. We might die by it, if not live by love, as history teaches us precisely nothing, in a sprawling attempt to be more than temporal, unlike my feelings which recline abstractly ahead of you, at the expense of what's behind my eyes, which I hate. Lines. Pride and hope and desire, like crushed herbs in his heart, sent up vapors of maddening incense before his eyes amid the garish gas in the dim scenery. Acting before the innumerable faces of the void, eyes had invited and unnerved him. Then a noise like dwarf artillery broke the movement. Awakened from a slumber of centuries, a huge doll sat with her legs apart in the copious easy chair beside the bed. The dim fabric of the city lay prone in haze, a host of nomads on the march. What birds were they? To look at them, leaning wearily on an ash plant? This is called Stanzas for Katie. It's written in 4 sections. 1. Her worst fears seem confirmed in the purple light of rounds and voids, however diminished by dawn. 2. She stands out on stilts on a cliff in Spain, without a word for the sun, and to the east, spots. 3. We were in rowboats waiting to catch her when the Frigidaire opened, radiating roses of light. 4. Certainly not in Italy were there gumball machines reflected between the fruit trees. Now that it's August, the waves approach with accumulating fatigue that simply won't do. Beneath these lives, an oasis sits in a mirror. I wonder about the elusive snow, but it's blotted by a blue stencil, and there is water in its ordinary place. Okay, this is the last poem I'm going to read. It's called Plaza. The watchfulness of night. Yeah, I'll take that again.
Really? Okay, I can read over.
Yeah, right.
Fuck that shit.
Plaza. The watchfulness of night rubs its eyes between cups of coffee, but drifts through the robes of your patron saint, weeping all over you. And we are drying off, mainly on nerve and spleen, as it rains and rains. The sun is late for work, and the hummingbird veers from us on its sickly plum. Like the raindrops of 1965, even the sky seems depressed. Oh, lonely blue, as intricate as the end of a long novel or poem at the start of another's breeding.
Good evening, friends. That was a wonderful reading Paul just gave.
Thank you.
These poems I'm going to read are in chronological order, more or less. Portal to Summer. My life is to a dog, a woman, gold glittering in the letters. You watch, as in my dream of you, are always sunny. King Lear of the soaps, I'm coming to meet you. Your attire is plush as a fountain pen, attached several days to, listening to porch wind. It's March, to be fierce, angelic, and quiet as the days which light the sun of your walk and of you. These days to think of portraits, I do, of moon and of the sea. Harpsichord. It's good riding this bike in the rain, though my hands are cold. Have a good time at the Dada exhibit, and say hello to Fleece. Before going to the Royal Marine Hotel, I had to go in the rain to get your ticket Edsel did not want tonight. Free Dakajawaya. He steadied his hand, unsure of the pill, rushing on to the tennis court. You have me pinned. I must answer to charges of incestuous binge. And I planted them hyacinths, too, all for the novel Turiyasan Jitananda opened the drawer. Where are they? To find the spectacles. No dogs allowed. Suddenly we would be adults next year. The rushing leaves descended in milk, orange sentiment evicting mattresses. The stairs smelled like pine needles, as all the lights are out. How you never know what to expect from onrushing nonchalance. Seem convicted of the most uproarious lemons. I know which movies you will want to go to in advance. The sore foot smells like lavender perfume, porpoise cadence in your ears to begin with. From the petal of the juniper berry springs the heart of the little maiden. Expectant, full of the promise of soap, you enter the stairs of your breakable breath, leaping up to find the china crying. Auto body. It's the 7th day, the first week of May. St. Agnes outside the walls languors. Inside the walls of the city, the hills have a splendor which becomes hills as they race to the newsstand all virile and out of breath. The lamp keeps blinking on and off. It's driving me crazy, or at least blind or dizzy. How come those flowers remind me of you? They aren't mad. At least all the trees are in bloom now. It reminds you of Monet, mixing paint by the Seine. Pink, blue, green. Lavender inlets in the soup charge admission to your own private freak show, starring you as the whipped monk. The banks are beginning to turn bright brown, interestingly enough. We hadn't expected that for at least several scenes, but now we can disengage our tongues. It's what keeps me looking for you, all the way through the crowded desert streets of a city in which the best you can do is French toast, but it's a little late for lunch anyway, isn't it? The toast keeps burning a hole through your pocket, but it's more like a bank where you can deposit masterpieces you have witnessed. The Brise Marine keeps running through my head for some reason, though I don't even know what it is yet. Rudy's movie. There are no secrets in Haiti, and the puddles are immense. Streets chevron your eyes lattice in Morocco, where it is dangerous to see for more than a few feet. My feet are always wet when the sirocco blows flowers yellow to the edge of the field where ocean begins. To what? Could it be a minute? You suggest with your suggestive eyes. Irrigatorial banks to settle on for the long days ahead. Bulges the dishwasher. Electricity temporary, if at all executrix of your most secret thoughts. Oh well. Stunted venture. Sybarite. Today I will think in Greek, which means listening to the Italian everyone is speaking. Neapolitan or regular, vole is boule. Vesuvius, though, blinded at its peak by clouds, is above language. Above the whole city, in fact. Above the man in green trunks performing a civic duty near an orange manhole in the rocks facing the harbor. A strange place for manholes, the rocks. Above the woman in tight pink and lavender eyeing all the men a few cella down, and the traffic which continues without pause by the sea, a frantic hurtling mass, red, blue, olive, crimson, and yellow, like the city itself, smiles up at the slow arcing Helios. "46.5 inches. For red grooms." The hammer comes down with a thud. Red roars into the picture wearing overalls and a Fannie Mae butter bonnet. "Okay, everybody, now get this," he yells, dropping a square of shingles on someone's toe. "We're gonna start nailing, and I mean fast, these clocks to the wall," he says, running halfway up it and then back down before the Mexican boy supporting its whole massive weight realizes to see if it'll hold them. By this time, the 4-foot lengths of hose have been cut, and Red tells a nearby assistant to weave them together, sort of trunk-like, to hold the whole thing together. In an instant, he's on the floor, 1/4-inch ply flying in all directions, breathing furiously, and stopping every now and then to figure if he should cut this way or, but it's time for a Pepsi, and throwing everything down, jewels, chisel, pneumatic drill, and pocket comb, he heads for the clubhouse, dragging a weary retinue of filers and discontents behind. A spider slowly walks across the ceiling and the logs arrive. A new tool has been invented in the shed, and it too bursts onto the platform, just as Red tells an inquiring worker, "That hammer's terrible, get it off the set." Sunglasses seem convenient, if not totally boring, and AM radio is worse than nothing. Suddenly the barometer escapes and a ruckus is rising. Mystic vellum. A dried seaweed pod sticks out from the off-white blanket we used on the beach, and which is now on my bed, under a small square quilt of velvet squares, rumpled and some fading. It is like a tiny black acrobat, perfectly proportioned and in its element, as somewhere you are. Citrus specks shiver on a lawn. 2 weeks ago, friends passed through, and blueberries will be getting fatter. It just rained. Mr. Bernard, whose field it is, will be smiling, his face brimming with remembrance. This morning, piano on the radio entered a dream of Maine, us laughing much. Somewhere it is 9:30, and you are there, smiling and eating, but not too much. Dusk on the grass, and is gone. 6 hours behind you, the sun finally breaks through trees, warning of night, cool, and patches of lawn reflect flower. Poem. Underwear, it's August on the floor, and in the sky, the clouds shake, interlopers between pizza and tugboats. Bulgar, mint, parsley, and tomatoes. Gee whiz, all we need is television to come on loud and boring when the phone rings. How about a game of soccer before lunch? It's too hot to relax and too cerulean not to. We hate typewriters, westerns, and Arm& Hammer. Love loud music and wish it was always summer. Bead. What fitter place for my hand than your hip? Without it I am lost. Airplane veering from its course, cloud drifting. I stand midtown, and people passing stare. How strange to think wearing a nylon black shadow jacket modern, or old-fashioned styles true. The sky is a beautiful gray, the kind that in the city informs each brick and cornice. I wish they were all like this. The sun shines too brightly on my emotions, laying bare volcanic networks in lids. The moth of savagery reels near, a burning sarcophagus in the barbecue house, flash of green lightning where there was none, thunderous. Warm rain, it's already tomorrow. Broccoli soup. Right across the street from Dr. Generosity's. Running even is acceptable in the street. Easiest on 72nd, between 3rd and 2nd. It's downhill. Going back, 3rd is best. Past the trans looks, Americans say lux. Across light. Crossing on lights. Turn right on 71st, past Tutman's. Wonder if he lives there anymore. Down Lex to the subway at 68th, not 9th, Alex. But there's more, like the garage we took pictures in front of in that green chair, and the sign, Bing and Bing, somewhere there. Passing 200 East, but mostly it's just 2nd Avenue, running up to 300, out of breath, arriving. Transport. What is it that draws me to you, as a tug is drawn to a larger ship? The water breaks, but is it the same water where we stopped last time when the coffee? A flower falls to the ground. Sun is different here. It is a skin, like a bath or bus to the wrong destination. Music burgeons from the villa, but it is raining. Clouds begin to break as a bus arrives. Are you on it? Those are all the poems I'm going to read, but now since we have a little bit more time, Paul is going to read a few more poems by Apollinaire.
We want them in French.
I left all my French at home, so I'm gonna have to just deal with the translations as soon as I can find it. called Montparnasse, I think. O hotel door with 2 green plants, simply green, which never bear flowers. Where are my fruits? Where can I plant myself? O door in front of you, an angel stands, distributing prospectuses. Never has virtue been so well protected. Rent me a room at weekly rates for all time. Bearded angel, you are in reality a lyric German poet who wishes to know Paris. You know this pavement and the cracks on which one must not step, and you dream of spending Sunday at Garchet's. The air is heavy and your hair is long. My little poet, a little stupid and too blonde. Your eyes look terribly like those 2 big balloons which rise in the pure air to adventure.
Just hurry up. Anyway, it doesn't matter if you've read it before. Go for it.
I want to read a good one.
Come on, go for it, Paul. Now. Anyway. It doesn't matter if you've read it. Hurry up. Come on, man. Just do it. Do it. Paul, this is very boring.
Okay, this is called War. The central combat sector, contact by listening post, or shoot in the direction of audible noises. The young men in the 1915 class and these electrified wires, yet don't cry about these horrors of war. Before it, we only had the surface of the earth and of the sea. After it, we shall have the depths, the underground, and the free space overhead. Men at the tiller, afterwards, we shall have all the joys of conquerors who rest. Women, games, factories, commerce, industry, agriculture, iron, fire, crystal, speed, voice, light, touch separately and together in the touch of distant things, of far greater distances, beyond this earth even. This is called Always. Always. We are going farther without ever advancing, and from planet to planet, from nebula to nebula, the Don Juan of 1,003 comets. Without even rising from the earth, look for new forces and take phantoms seriously. And so many of the universe forget themselves, who are the great forgetters, who will know just how to make us forget such and such a part of the world. Where is Christopher Columbus, to whom is owed the forgetting of a continent? To lose, but to lose genuinely, in order to make room and room.
Just go for it. Come on, it's very boring.
Where's that short poem?
Just, Paul, it doesn't matter. Paul, come on, just read more. Read the bird sings. Read that. Just read it.
Okay, this is called Sadness of a Star. Do we have time? Minerva stepped out calmly from my head, and I will be forever crowned with blood. There is reason within and sky above my skull. Where a goddess, you were buckling on your arms. Of my misfortunes, this is not the worst. This almost mortal wound became a star. The secret sorrow, which is my desire, is more than any other soul could hide. I bear with me a suffering of fire, just as a glowworm bears his body's flame. As in a soldier's heart, France is on fire, just as rich pollen fills the lily's heart. I'd like to thank David Hers and everybody who made